Hey everyone, what's up? This is Dusty. We're going live. It's what is it? Thursday? It's Thursday. There's football on. I don't know how many people are watching this. Some I got a one for Cheesehead that went up yesterday. I've got one at Packer Report that's going to be great. That's going up tomorrow. But I had 4 plays left. Actually, I've got more than that, so I'll be throwing more at some point. But I've got more than that I thought would be kind of beneficial to get into a little bit deeper. So that was kind of a video thing. I was like, oh, I'll do one, and it turned out it's four because I don't know how to plan things correctly. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're gonna roll through this together, you and I, whoever it is that's with me here, I guess. And if you've got any questions, thanks. Steve says, nice hat. Hey, thanks, buddy. So we're going to go through 4 plays from this past week. Some are good, some are not good, but I think all are interesting in one way, shape, or form. So this first one, I'm sorry, I usually try to put some context in here, down and distance, all that stuff, and I just totally forgot to put any of that stuff up before this. So it's been a day, man. So I didn't get a chance to do that, but we're going to walk through this one here. This is going to be our this is Roger's second interception, which I know no one actually wants to watch, but you want to watch it, I guess, because you're here, although you can drop off. That's fine. All right, so here's what we're going to do, and this is just the reason I bring this up. This is a concept that the Packers run a lot, and I talk about it a lot, but it's, I don't know, important to kind of look at again here, just to kind of understand I don't know, the basic concept they're going for here, and the fact this is kind of one of those, like, it wasn't necessarily a failure on the Packers' part so much as it was just good defense, because the Packers run this a lot and generally have good luck with it. So we've got this this 2-by-1 look, and these two guys over here. Now you can see they're uptight. Everyone's uptight. This looks like man-to-man with the only safety like 7 yards off the line of scrimmage, aligned to the other side. And what the Packers are going to do is something they do a lot. They got follow slant. So you got this guy here, the general idea. You run this way, you clear it out for the man behind you. So then all the man has to do behind you is beat his guy off the line, get inside position, run in, and then you throw the space. Now, you can also throw this first slants here if no one drops with it. So you kind of have that two options. You read, if someone runs with that one and it's man, that means the guy behind it's open. So, as we will all know, that moves him out of the way. When I did the effect, it did this weird ghost thing, which is kind of cool. Which means, okay, so he drags him away. Perfect. All he needs to do is win inside, and you've got the space to throw to, right? So he wins inside, except I mean, there's a little hand fighting there, but it's good sticky coverage. And he just gets his hand in. Adams can't haul it in. Tip interception. And I'm not going to show the run back because I don't hate myself that much, but it's just, again, this is just a standard concept, something the Packers run a bunch, multiple times a week, and sometimes multiple times a week, kind of depends on the week. But it didn't go their way this time. So I thought that was a good way to get us started. It's not a good way to get us started. That's a bad way to get us started, but we're just going to do it anyway. Heroin, I thought this was the bananas in pajamas. No, you're going to have to go somewhere else for that. This is whatever the opposite of that is what this is. All right. Looks like the game is back. So I'm just going to keep rolling here. So this one here, we have got, I'm sorry. So this is something that the Packers ran a lot of. We've got this crossers, and I'll show where the routes go, or where those first couple of routes go. This is something that the Packers have run a bunch so far this year. So they've got this. I mean, they did a bunch of this against Detroit. They ran this, I know, a bunch against the Saints. Like, it's one of those it's one of their core concepts here. So it's the two crossers here out of bunch, and then generally this back guy here. So you've got like kind of run up, clear out, and then this guy just kind of crosses underneath and gets that free space there. This time, so they're banking on, this is a variation. It did not work this time, but this is kind of an example of, you run those core concepts, you keep running that, and then you try to run something different to bank off of it. Again, didn't work this time, but that's the general idea. So what happens this time is you're looking for Aaron Jones running this. That's Jones right there doing that. And so traditionally how this has been done in the past, or how defenses have gone against this, is you're looking at this man here. This guy generally, once he sees, and the idea is you show something that you've shown before. You've shown something that's familiar, and defenses feel like they've got a beat on, they can do something with. And how this has been defended by a lot of teams out of this look has been this guy here, this outmost guy, will have this guy here. And so he has to then fight over. And so if in his mind he starts seeing this develop, and we're going to watch it in a second, and he says, okay, I know this is developing. That means I have to really bust it to fight through this or get over, get under what I have to do. Suddenly you're running something counter to that. And you can see if you watch Aaron Jones here, he gives a little stutter step, like not a ton, but just enough to try to sell that, to try to get that dude to jump. And he doesn't, and it doesn't work out. And then everything just blows up. This was the Jamal Williams kind of misreading, I guess. He's looking at this dude here, but then there's a twist, and then he misses the guy in the edge. So Jamal Williams he doesn't do this often, but he misses pass pro, just kind of reads a straight rusher when it's a twist, and then just misses it. But decent concept, and even if Jones ran that crosser, the ball, there was no way this was going to be complete, because this was not getting out in time, because that rush hits home so quick. But again, good idea of this. You've shown this 1,000 times, like not 1,000, but at least, 10 or so this year, which over, the first, 4 games is pretty good. And so you're doing that, and then you're trying to run something counter that doesn't work. Bucks had good defense and weren't biting on a lot of that stuff. So that's that does that one. Next, we're going to get into, I'm going fast here. That's because I'm by myself and I talk fast. So I apologize. If anyone has any questions, please let me know by all means. This one here, it's not so much the play itself for me. It's the concept. It's a fun concept to talk about. This is 4 verts, 4 verticals, which is an air raid staple. And so the idea behind 4 verts is you get, and it's not always all this alignment with the Packers running 2x2. You send everyone, it's very simple, like all air raid stuff. You send everyone down the field. All 4 guys, 4 verts. They run vertical. When it was originally developed, or actually when Mummy was running it, they used to just call it on the call sheet, it was 6, because they called it 6 because they thought they were going to get a touchdown every single time. So 6 points. And the idea, and again, this is something that I just want to get into a little bit of this concept, because on its face, it's super simple. It's 4 verts. You're running straight downfield, but there's options attached to each of those. And you don't get that. I mean, you'll get option routes on different route concepts, but not all the time, or else it's just mass chaos. You got guys reading a guy, and then you got receivers running into each other. But the spacing on this is important. So you can read these defenders as you're going down the field, and we're going to see that here in a second. You can read these defenders as they're going down the field, and then you can adjust your route based on that. And the assumption is that then you and your quarterback are reading the same defender the exact same way, and then you kind of adjust based on that. So I think this is a very good example of that, I thought. And so I just kind of want to show that here. So we've got, again, verticals, but we've got this one curling off here, and this one actually bends a little bit. I didn't draw that in here, but we're going to kind of watch how that develops, because I think, again, it just, 4 verts is something I know a lot is talked about a lot, but I've not seen a whole lot of people like kind of talk about some of these option stuff. So I just want to get into that a little bit. So we're going to watch, and just a little bit at a time. So we will see this guy here, and we're going to watch. This is the break. All right. Rodgers is dropping back. Hasn't even hit his back foot yet, but you're watching how the defense reacts to stuff. So with this guy going here, so he's kind of gotten the underneath zone here. He's falling off and underneath, and this safety's bailing. So he kind of bends this inside. Instead of straight going up the field, you're getting past him. And if you go straight up, maybe this guy's a chance to pick you up. So you're bending that inside. So that's that guy there. So instead of running straight vertical. Now this guy here, same thing. He's looking inside and cutting that way while this guy's going play over the top. So instead of running vertical, and if he runs vertical, this guy runs with him. Adams cuts that off, runs the out. And then over here, we've got, again, falling down into zone here, falling back. So instead of running straight up and at that guy, this is bent in and into the middle. Now this is kind of you've got kind of a too high look there. I don't know exactly what the defense is. So maybe you're looking to split those guys there, but you're really just avoiding that guy there. So you've got that. And then this guy here, we got this down, and then that safety's out there. You're just running that go. So again, these are all the routes. It's 4 verts. The call is everyone run in a straight line. We've seen Better Off Dead. So essentially run that way really fast, and if something gets in your way, turn. That's paraphrasing the great Charles DeMar there, but that's essentially what this is. Everyone's running straight down the field, and depending on what the defense does, you adjust your route. Now, they do this pretty well. Pressure ends up hitting. Adams gets open, but the read doesn't get there yet. And I think he likes the matchup over here in MVS, so he throws up the MVS. But that is and he kind of underthrows it. There we go. But again, just that route concept is one that I feel like a lot of people know, or at least a lot of people have heard of, but I don't know that I've seen it talked about too much in terms of how that looks on the actual field. So there's that one. And for our last one tonight, we have got this little. Now, this is one, I brought this one up because this is one that on the broadcast, and on the broadcast, I don't want to bash anyone, but on the broadcast, you got limited time to talk about a play. You got limited time to look at what you've got, look at what happened, diagnose it, spit it out, because that next play is coming out, so you got to be ready. So on the broadcast, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something like, he thought Tanyan was just going to throttle down here, and so he throws it, or he thought Tanyan's continuing across, but there's a guy here. And so Tanyan throttles down, Rodgers throws it, it's almost picked off. So that's the extent that we got on this specific play. So I want to get into this one a little bit just because there's, as all things, there's more to it than just that. So, and we can talk about coverage a little bit, which is fun. Everyone likes coverage. Is that correct? That's probably not correct. All right. So we've got verticals on the outside and this little inbender in from Tanyan right here. So what this looks like from the jump, too high safety. And we're going to watch Rodgers' head here for a second. So this looks like, not exactly necessarily, but this looks like a cover 2 shell. These two guys here, now they are pinched in. So as we're going to see in a second. So cover 2 for the uninitiated for any of these coverages. And it's I'm going to call this a shell because there's a lot more to it than just cover 2. Anytime you see that, you've got, cover 2 means you split the field down the middle. This guy has this side. This guy has this side. You split it down. Each one has a half of the field, cover 2. So cover 1 would be one guy has the field. Quarters, which we'll talk about here in a second, is each guy has a quarter of the field. So you break the field up into fourths, like the deep zones. And there's 1,000 different variations. There's a guy, I think his name is, thanks, Kenny. I'll throw that up there. So the guy named Cameron Soren, I think his name is, and he actually wrote a book on, it's like the defensive coverage glossary or something, and it's huge and it's amazing. And there's, 1,000 variations. So when I talk about cover 2, quarters, all this stuff, it's a shell, as we'll see here. It's a very simple way to diagnose without digging into all the specifics. So this looks like cover 2 kind of, or it could be they're the only 2 men back, but really what this is, it's quarters. And this is what I'm saying. It's a little more complicated in that it's quarters, but only 2 deep, if that makes sense. So quarters, traditionally you split up the field and you got 1 quarter, 2 quarter, 3 quarter, 4 quarter, all 4 quarters. This one is quarters, but it's pinched and you've got no one. So it's quarters basically in the middle with these guys on the outside in man. So it's basically man coverage, but your deep safeties are not cover 2. And cover 2, you're fanning out and this middle is open. And quarters, they each have a much narrower lane to cover. So that's the general basis behind this play, which we'll get into here very quickly to show why that's important to this specific play. And again, this is Tanyan here. He's in man, and we'll see Rodgers and what Rodgers does. This initial drop, and I think we even missed it. His first look, he's looking on the middle, and he looks over here, and you can see this guy looks like he's fanning out, right? So if he's fanning out, that tells Rodgers likely cover 2. He's fanning out. The middle's open. This is likely cover 2. And so then he kind of doesn't come back to this. And but one of the reasons for that is there's one route over here and it's vertical. And there's 2 routes over here and you got a vertical and you got an in cutter. So if Rodgers thinks this is cover 2 and he knows that no one here is leaking out, then he believes this man here is going to go over here. This guy here essentially is accounted for. You do not need to worry about him anymore because he's fanned out and he's not around anymore. That's not what ends up being the case, but that's the general thought. And so when he looks in, that's the diagnosis is cover 2. And so you can see this guy here. And his responsibility is different than in cover 2. He does not have half the field. He's looking here in his zone. There's no deep routes coming up the seam. So once he diagnoses that and he sees that, he turns his attention elsewhere. he turns back inside. He never looks at Adams. Now, Adams is kind of pinned to the sideline, but this is man-to-man over here. This guy does not have responsibilities over here. So when he sees nothing up the seam, he turns. He sees Tanyan, and you can see he's breaking on Tanyan before Rogers is even in the motion to throw the ball. Like, he's loading up a little bit. His arm's not moving. Ball's not in motion. None of that. He just knows, okay, no one's here. Where am I looking? There's a crosser. I'm getting the crosser. So that's what ends up happening. So Rogers, we'll walk it back for a second. Rogers believes this is cover 2, never looks back because it looks like this guy is bailing. So in his mind, this guy's not here. So when he sees Tanyan on the crosser, there's never now this is all again this is my conjecture. This is what I believe happened based on this. There's no reason for Rogers to believe that this man is even in the picture. So he sees Tanyan, a step on the crosser, I'm throwing that. So he throws it, and now here's the other thing about that in-game analysis that was Tanyan throttles down because he sees the man. Tanyan never looks at that dude. I don't think Tanyan ever actually looks at that dude. So I don't think there's he's throttling down. I think he just pulls up. So that's basically what that is. You can see him kind of turn and his head never gets back around. So that's the basis of that specific play. It's a quarters variation when initially it looks like cover 2. So Rogers believes the fan out. There's no fan out. There's narrow lanes. And that guy stays in that lane. He turns his attention back inwards when there's no one in his zone and tries to jump a pass. Good defensive call. And Rogers just doesn't see it, at least from what I've seen. So that's all I got for tonight. This was trying to keep it to around 15 minutes, I guess. We're around 16 and a half. So I guess this will be it for me. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'm going to be kicking around. I've got a thread I'll be posting tonight on a bunch of different plays that are not in any of my articles, and I'm not going through here either. So I'll be hammering through those very, very quick. So I guess be on the lookout for that. But for anyone who joined me, thank you. I very much appreciate it. I'm gonna flash this sucker at the bottom real quick, just because I promote myself, I guess. I don't know. If you feel like giving me money, handing me your hard-earned dollars for whatever reason, you can do that. I've got Venmo and PayPal, and it's down there. Please do not feel like you have to, but I'm throwing it out there in case anyone feels like doing that. So, guys, thank you so much again for joining me, for whoever it was that joined me. And I guess go Pack Go, and maybe I'll see you next week and maybe not. But thanks for following along. I appreciate it.